Hey there guys, Demo73 here, bringing you some more spoiler coverage for the week. Today we are looking at our third ruler. He is red, blue, and he is the teacher of Mars and Mercurius. So, let's just dig right in. We have Sol, the Hierophant of the Helios star. So essentially he's the sun in terms of the astral stuff. So he's a 7 Luminaries mage. So his judgment is 1 red, 1 blue, 1 colorless. Is energized for red or for blue. He has mana 2, and he is the combination of Mercurius and Mars, and the fact that he can spend his mana counters to produce red or blue for ancient magics. So that's pretty cool. You have some kind of flexibility there. Flips over into Sol, Dark Commander of Steam. He is a 5/5. But he has the same usual ability of mana 5. As he enters, you can remove Runic Commander Demon Akiat, and if you do, he enters with an additional 5. So the usual, mana counter kind of thing. And then he also gains +6/+6 as long as you removed that demonic commander. So he becomes an 11/11 if you have his RFG card. And then he can still remove a counter to play red or blue with ancient magics. So pretty interesting. I don't necessarily like that his stats are inherently tied to his flip card, especially since we have Lightning Bolt. He can just be bolted if you don't have the card. But the fact that you have that versatility of being able to play one or the other is pretty good. I like that kind of versatility. You can definitely make things a little different for those decks. So then we have the Runic Commander Demon Akiat. He is a 2-drop, 1 red, 1 blue, 600/600. When he enters the field, put a mana counter on your J Ruler, and whenever you play a chant, you can put him back in his hand. So again, he's got that kind of, you can fuel up your J Ruler because he can work for either Mars or Mercurius too. And then he can kind of protect himself by bouncing it back to his hand. So like if you're about to lose him or get hit by a card, you just play a spell and return it back to your hand because he has the trigger. So you can keep him safe and kind of keep reusing him if you need to. So pretty interesting, not groundbreaking, but it's pretty interesting. Now we have the twin-headed dragon. A lot of people were hyped about this artwork when we saw it as a playmat. It is a 1,000/1,000 4-drop with 1 red, 1 blue, 2 colorless. It has flying. And then this is the thing that I like a lot. You may spend will to play this card's awakening cost as though it was an ancient magic. So you can be awakening this thing with ancient magic counters, which I think is fantastic. So for red, it deals 1,000 damage to target resonator, and for blue, it arrests up to 2 target resonators, and they don't recover during your controller's next recovery phase. So this essentially means that you can kind of tap the things down and kill something. And if you pretty much consider it to have you're going to have those 2 counters if you're playing Sol, and you can play them for both. So you're playing a 4-drop 10/10 that burns something for 10 and taps 2 things down permanently. That's pretty good. I like that a lot. I think this card is definitely going to be super important in pre-releases and stuff. We're not in a really resonator-based format right now, so control's kind of pretty dominant right now. So how meta and super good this is, I don't necessarily know. I don't really think it's there, but it is going to have impact, I think, later on if we shift to a more resonator-based format, just because it can answer kind of so many things. It's essentially a 1 for 3 if it resolves with both of its awakening triggers, which is pretty nice. So now we have Conjure Time Bomb. That is a 2-drop chant, and it says put a 1/1 Firebomb Resonator token with, at the beginning of your turn, banish this card. If you do, it deals 1,000 damage to your opponent and each J/Resonator your opponent controls into your field. And then if you awaken the spell for 3, so it's a 5-drop, this card gains at the end of your turn, banish it. So essentially, you can pay 2 to make it a time bomb that your opponent has 1 turn to deal with, or you can pay 5 to make it a time bomb that your opponent has until the end of that turn to deal with. again, we're not in a really resonator-based format, and we have a lot of things right now that answer 1/1 tokens. People have been really teching for Turbo Feasting, which relies on its kind of 1/1 tokens, so lots of different colors have lots of different ways to handle it. And if that token doesn't reach the end of the turn to trigger itself, so like moving out of your main phase, if you can pop it for something, then you're kind of out of luck. So again, and we're also not in a huge resonator-based format, so how good is this as opposed to just dropping 2 thunders at your opponent's face for the same cost? But if we get a more resonator-based format, I definitely see this card being something that could be potentially good. Now we have the Rune of Soul. It is a red-blue spell chant instant. It's a chant with quick cast. I'm not used to that. And it just says, search your deck for an ancient magic, reveal it, and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. This is fantastic. I think that this is the card that both Mars and Mercurius really needed, and so did Soul. But the fact is, you can also grab Black Moonbeam with this, which is pretty handy. So, if you're playing a deck that has access to these colors, and you're playing against a ruler, you can tech in a couple of these, and still only be able to play have to play the one Black Moonbeam and just search it out and then hit them, and then you're good to go. So I think that's pretty fine. There's memorized runes allow for quick spell casting, so he's like teaching Mars and Mercurius some stuff, kind of putting them in their heads. But yeah, I think this card is probably my favorite card of the spoiler, just because of the utility that it provides for Mars, Mercurius, Soul, and really anybody who can splash these colors to search for those Black Moonbeams, which is really nice. Especially if you're playing a control, you dump it early to, kind of when you have will to kind of burn. And then you get the Black Moonbeam, and that essentially just tells your opponent, hey, I've got Black Moonbeam, you've got to be able to answer it. If you're going against black, that's not such a great idea because they have discard cards, but any other matchup's probably fine. And then we have the Magic Stone of Vaporization. It's our new Shock Rock. It's our red-blue Shock Rock. If your J ruler isn't Soul, you have to pay 300 to bring it in. And it's a little extra activate ability is for 1 and tap, you can put a mana counter on your J/ruler. I really like that. The ability to kind of refill your counters really nicely, and it's pretty cheap. So, again, if you're playing a control build, you can just kind of burn your will later and convert it into, you're not really wasting the will in that sense. So you can just kind of like, oh, I wasn't going to play a spell, tap a bunch of these, put a bunch of mana counters, and then recover. It's essentially like ramping, which I think is really nice. So that is it for today, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment sections down below. Are you excited, or you think this guy's a little bit not good enough? What cards are you really hyped for? Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe as always. And until next time, this is TMO73 signing off.